Alright, episode 4 official. Today we have motherfucking Tyler and we have motherfucking Wesley. And along with me, Curtis, and Kelson, your hosts. So today, what the fuck are we talking about? I forgot.
Corporate monopolization and its stranglehold over the free world.
Yeah. So, like, what were you guys mentioning before? How people would rather just cling to the fucking brainwashed lives that they have or whatever.
There it is.
Yeah, like, people would rather hold on to their preconceptions of society and the way that we're led to believe humanity was ruled. Like, when you hear any argument, it's always, well, we've been doing this for thousands of years, so how can it be wrong? When really, it's just going 1,000 years back when humans have been around for God knows how many fucking years, and history's been rewritten God knows how many times, and erased.
And we've already talked about this before. This is intentional. This is not any sort of accident.
Like,
I mean, there are certain things that are accidental, but of course.
Like, no matter how many injustices there have been through, like, civil rights violations, human rights violations, we can, like, never learn that there's always some other fucked up shit that's going on that we haven't realized yet in the moral zeitgeist.
And we always find a way to justify it, where it's like, in today's times, you look at the black community, the homeless community, like black people. Well, you know, if they would just respect law enforcement officers, they wouldn't get shot. You're justifying why it's okay to shoot black people for being less than human. Just like with homeless people. Well, if they really didn't want to be homeless, they could go out and get a job like the rest of us, except you need an address, and you need to not smell like piss and shit, and you need to not be drunk, and you really need a house to not be homeless.
Yeah.
Which, if you don't have a house, you can't get a job. You can't get a job, how are you going to get a house? You don't have a car, how are you going to get to work? They literally put you into that trap, and then it's your fault that you don't have all those things. For a prime example being, if it's a homeless man's choice to be homeless, what does that say for the disabled war veterans that are incapable of going to work, so they're left homeless on the streets by their own choice?
Yeah.
And it's all these preconceived misconceptions that we build our lives around of, well, this is okay because of this, or, well, I could never do that because of this, and we just accept it, whatever excuse we make. Mm-hmm. Like, you were a little bit afraid of the money aspect of the trip, of like, how are we going to survive if we don't have jobs? Because you need a job to get money, and then it's like, nah, that's a preconception. And then you saw that, but I mean, at the same time, not everybody sees that. There's so many people that buy into the lies because, why would the government lie to me?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, why would they lie to you, and why do they? Why do you believe them, more importantly?
Yeah. As people are so comfortable with their, like, menial minimum wages and shit. And, yeah.
There is happiness to be found there, of course. Like, if you really feel that you're doing the best in minimum wage, then you're doing the best in minimum wage. It's really up to the individual.
I mean, that would be cool, but I've never met someone.
Find their happiness within minimum wage.
I mean, if you can point one of those people out to me that's not a kid living off their parents' back, because that doesn't count as you living off minimum wage. That counts as you living off your parents who make a living wage.
Yeah.
Like, I've never seen anybody where it's like, you know, I'm so happy going to McDonald's for $7.25. Some dude said,
no, most definitely.
Yeah, I mean,
of course you want more, but some people
who
find their comfort level with
I don't know those people you're talking about. I've never met anybody happy on minimum wage.
I've met a couple of people that are like that. They're like, you know, they have their own issues that they have to deal with on a regular basis.
Do they live with their parents?
Entertain them enough? No, I mean, they probably live with other people that are just
also
like
on minimum wage?
Yeah.
And these guys are all happy. Like, they're totally happy. They don't
I mean, of course you always want
place.
more. You always want more, but there's a reason they're not doing that much more to do it, you know?
Probably because they don't have the capability or the money or the ability to. I can guarantee if you tell someone it's $7.25 off enough for you to live off of happily, like the majority of everybody would say no, unless they're living off someone else.
Yeah.
I mean, like, yeah, you could live with your parents off minimum wage. You could live with 5 other people in a 2-person apartment off minimum wage. But how are you going to get a wife and a kid that way?
Yeah.
Like,
no, I mean, you're not going to find too much success that way unless. Well, I mean, I knew someone that had a wife and a kid.
Well, not only that, you look at the minimum wage jobs and how much
I mean,
how much does the
like
CEO
$9 an hour
make?
or something like that.
I mean, but if you look at how much does the CEO
Oh yeah, the
make?
CEO makes ridiculous amounts of money.
Like, they're making
make
over
6 figures. They probably make the average
millions,
CEO
billions.
makes more than at least 200,000.
You know, a lot of them.
That's just administrative.
A
So
lot of them, when you do the
right,
math,
millions.
they make 13,000 a minute. A lot of them, based on the math. There's like statistics you can look into. Like if you make like $1 billion, I think roughly you're making either 1,300 or 13,000 a minute in a 40-hour work week. Which I mean, at the same on the same level, you're making that every 2 weeks on a 40-hour work week on minimum wage, if you're lucky.
I mean, it's not great, but some people can find their happiness within that sphere. You know, it's not like it's not for everyone.
But they could be spending
really
that
go
same
after
amount of
the most.
time working for themselves, getting the things that they need, instead of getting those pieces of paper to have someone hand them the things that they need.
Yeah, and when you look at Ocean View is a really good example. I used to live in Ocean View. My apartment was $730 a month. Now they've evicted systematically all the people from the apartments around me. They demolish them once they get everybody out, and then they build a $150,000 condo. And that's the condos each are $150,000. You buy the condos, and the whole giant fucking skyscraper that they built in replacement of my shitty poverty-stricken apartment complex is now being sold for $150,000 a condo. They're making millions off of that after evicting the people who they're making $730 a month off of. They were hiking the price. Like my neighbor, he started paying when it was only $580 a month, and I think it went up to $610 for him. Meanwhile, I'm paying $730. They're hiking it up. They're evicting everybody that can't afford it. They're building these rich people accommodations. And then they're going to wonder, why is there so much more homelessness in the area now? Why is there a rising rate in crime? They're going to blame the black people, when it's really poor, poverty-stricken people you've kicked out of their affordable housing to hike up the cost of living, and you expect these people to quietly die in the streets and just shut the fuck up. But then they literally have lives to afford. They've got families to support, so they go to a life of crime, drug dealing, committing robbery, whatever. And that's literally corporatization, because how are you going to live there off of $725 when they're destroying the affordable housing to make it more expensive for the rich people because they want to turn the area around?
Yeah.
Really not turning the area around. That's the same reason they didn't extend the tide to the Virginia Beach oceanfront, because they don't want black people to have access to jobs. Because they want to keep people
Yeah,
poor.
and that's a high-paying area too. You know, you have to live in a high-paying area to be making a lot of money, of course. I mean,
Yeah,
that's
so
just
why
what it
not
is.
destroy the transportation that's going to make it affordable?
Yeah, I mean, they have apartment complexes down there, but those people that have been really, how would you put it, living in those apartment complexes for that long, I mean, they've been there for that long, and that's the thing. They've been in there for so long that
I mean,
they're
it's
able
like-
to actually pay for that.
You look at Ocean View, it's a ghetto, you pay $700 a month. They're destroying that housing for $150,000 condos. It's a fact. You could look into it. I used to live there.
Yeah.
Now, at the same time, you look at the Virginia Beach oceanfront, you're paying roughly $1,400 a month. That is literally double. And the wages are not different. You're still making $725 anywhere you go for minimum wage in Virginia Beach. You're still making $10 an hour at a good wage.
Yeah, you're not making any more than 14.
Yeah,
And
so
down
really-
there, delivery drivers, they make like 12 an hour.
Yeah, so really you're not
You're not gonna
making
be making much
better
more than
money.
that.
The locations are the exact same wages, but the difference is the money you pay. Not only that, they're destroying the cheaper income areas, they're destroying the cheaper affordable housing, and they're replacing it to the point where people can't survive. Crime is going up. Drug use is going up. You look at heroin, it's back on the rise. The war in Iraq is finally bringing in the profits of that, and they're using it to brainwash the people.
Yeah. That's just how it is.
Motherfucking
That's what the
brainwashing.
government's there for, really. You know, not just to brainwash people, but really to sanction control over people.
And that's the thing, is
To
everybody
break down
says the
crime.
government's there for the
That's just what
people.
it's
They
about.
protect us.
I mean,
from
what else would they be there for? I mean, they're here to protect us, but they also come in and they give us all these dogmas to live by, all these rule sets that they decide is good for us, when we should be deciding what's good for
I
us.
mean, it's like, who the fuck raised the smoking age at 21? Because isn't there a law about taxation without representation we fought a whole war over?
Yeah.
And yeah, we can raise smoking age without representation, and we can draft 18-year-olds to die without their own representation. And the government talks all this shit about protecting you and your rights, but I really don't see any protection going on when they're shooting black kids in the streets for being black, and they're arresting stoner kids for smoking plants.
I will never get drafted. I will run away. Unless there's people invading on our turf, on our fucking
Well,
land.
hey, that's the beauty of it. You don't have to sign up for the draft. Look at the president. He ran away from the draft, and look what happened to him. Now he's the U.S. president. That's a really good role model. Like, yeah, you don't have to serve your country. You just have to lie to it and get elected.
Yeah. That's how it is, man.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Donald Trump ran away from the draft. I can Google it, which one. I think it was Vietnam. Yeah.
Wasn't he
He's
like
too
one of the
special.
first presidents that had no military background?
Yeah. I mean, he has no military, no political background. That's the irony of all the people that vote him in is we're voting him in because he's got no experience, so he can change the system from within. We should start hiring airplane pilots with no experience to change the
That's
air.
a great idea. It's a great
Yeah.
idea. Because having low security was a really good idea.
It just
So
goes
now
to show the
making
whole
our
thing is a
pilots
fucking
even worse
puppet
isn't even
scheme.
better.
It really
It doesn't
is.
matter who the fuck is up in there because they're not the actual ones pulling the strings. Same reason you were talking about why George W. Bush paints the pictures of the people that died in the fucking war because he had no control over it. He was just the one pulling. He
Yeah.
was just a puppet having strings pulled that he had to follow.
Like George Bush Jr. went to college, he wanted to be an artist. Like Curtis was saying, like he's got paintings of all the Iraqi soldiers that he sent to die in that war. He paints their faces because he wanted to be a painter. His dad told him, no, fuck you, you're going to be a president. Forced him into politics to be like his dad. Then all of a sudden the Illuminati, whatever the fuck you want to call them, tell him that he's got to declare war on Iraq, and they give him the whole script. So if you notice any of his speeches before the whole terrorism speech, they're all like really kind of different in style, where he's like, yeah, terrorists, they're terrible people. They're terrorizing Americans, and they're really terrifying. Like, he had no idea what the fuck he's talking about. All of a sudden, he gets the one script that he has to fucking read the day of the fucking 9/11 attacks. When he reads that, it literally sounds like he's an actor in a Tom Clancy movie. Where it's like, we have the foundation of ISIL forces, and in Iraq and Syria, things are getting a lot more tense, and we are going to send in American reinforcements. And then he's just going off, and it sounds really intellectual. I mean, he's the same motherfucker that held a phone upside down. But somehow, the one time it mattered, he said it perfectly recited the way that he was told. It sounds like someone was guiding him. And if you think about it, if you got a red dot in your head and you get assassinated if you don't say it right, then I mean, yeah, I'm pretty sure you'll say that speech better than any other speech you've ever given. You can look into the fucking speeches that he's given, and you can see the difference.
And then there's the shit with the
You can
with John
tell when
F.
it's
Kennedy.
been written and scripted by a group of people that was not himself.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it, the president
just
reads
hear
his
his
scripts
voice,
off the
it's not-
teleprompter. Who is giving the president the speech that he's reading off the teleprompter? That's a good question. Why is he reading the speech off the teleprompter? Like, where the fuck is my teleprompter? I'm just speaking off the top of my fucking head.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, I mean, when you got an important message, you don't need fucking key point notes.
But then what goes with this shit with John F. Kennedy? So do you think he diverted from the script?
No, there was no script with John F. Kennedy. He was literally telling the American people there is a shadow government that operates above the federal government that you know. And there are powers above which you can comprehend. And these forces are at work enslaving all of us. Bang! He got shot in the fucking head.
Secret societies.
Yeah, secret societies. He gave that speech.
Bohemian Grove type shit.
Yeah, everybody listened to that fucking speech. Everybody tells you JFK was talking out about people and they assassinated him, but nobody fucking reads into it. They say the words, they don't think what they mean. Nobody associates the words with the power that they hold. That's the problem in today's times. We can talk all this shit about revolutions and shit. People big up Che Guevara all the time, but they don't look into it. They don't think about what they're saying.
No, my dad told me I look like Che Guevara with my hat backwards.
I fuck with that. And that's the shit, is like Che Guevara killed children and women.
That's
That's how they slandered him.
But then he was like the supposed revolutionary character.
Yeah, and I mean, if you look at countries like Romania, they killed the dictator off. They sold the fucking booming economy business that they had building cars for communist countries. They sold it at scrap metal value for $15,000 and fucked their whole economy up and forced them to become a third world country where they immigrate to the better countries to bring money back to their country that's been stolen from them. So we blame them as immigrants, meanwhile completely erasing their history and their role in the world to the point where they're being taught in school that their country is grateful for the Western world, giving them civilization when they're one of the founding places of civilization. Got one of the oldest languages. If you look at it, they've unearthed some of the oldest tools known to man in Romania. This is shit you don't get to hear about, just like how they don't talk about how the Romans stole all of their gold, and what was left to them, the Germans and the Russians stole during the World War. During the World War, do you know how much art Hitler stole from around the world?
A shit ton.
Yeah, it's been spoken of.
Yeah, exactly. They had entire museums just filled to the brim with artwork.
And nobody thinks of that. And you know, when you think about Nazi Germany being one of the most evil countries, you think that the World War II would have devastated them, right?
Yeah, and like think about how much art they fucking didn't recover. You know,
And not
it's
only
like,
that, so if you think about the loser in a war is the one whose economy is destroyed, if that's the case, how come Germany has one of the boomingest economies? You look at BMW, Mercedes-Benz, Volkswagen, all these German-made products. They're one of the greatest countries in the world in today's times. But they're the losers. Look at Romania. It's a shitty third world country. People are leaving the country to get better lives for themselves in the better countries.
I wonder why it is that fucking Germany is the one that started so much shit throughout history.
I mean, Europe started so much shit. America literally exists because Europe colonized America as a resource colony to mass produce soldiers and resources for their wars in Europe. America got in on it and realized, yo, we're being exploited to mass produce soldiers and resources. That means that we have all the soldiers and resources everybody else wants. So let's use our army to throw them out and just take over the whole world for ourselves.
Yeah, and Germany has always been designed very militaristically, like ever since the ages of the Holy Roman Empire.
I mean, there's some of the
which
most
derived from the Roman Empire.
Like, there's some of the most dedicated,
more so
driven
in
people.
derivation of like culture and whatnot. But
See, I don't know shit about history, man. That's why I got you.
That's why they say history repeats itself, because nobody reads it, so they allow it to be repeated constantly. When people ask, how could a motherfucker like Hitler get power? Because you ignore all the steps leading up to it, and once they become that power, you believe all the lies they bullshit you with. And then so when someone finally rises up like we're doing, and overthrows that power, everybody's like, wow, history repeated itself. How are people stupid enough to let that happen? Because the whole time it's happening, you're buying into all the bullshit on your television screen, in your fucking newspaper, you're listening to everyone convincing you it's okay. That's the same reason we still think it's okay to eat meat, because it's so natural, because we've been doing it for thousands of years. If it was so wrong, don't you think that we would know by now?
Yeah.
Well, because any time that someone points out to you, you deny them because you don't want to believe it. Because you don't like the thought that you're wrong, that your whole society has been lying to you.
People don't think that history repeats itself in the exact same way, but it repeats itself on a different level of conscious understanding.
Exactly, like we're evolving all the time. It's like wars aren't being fought with militaries anymore, they're being fought on an economic level. Like you look at Aldi's, Lidl's, Walmart, all these companies, they're literally buying the land, buying the people, buying the resources, exploiting it all, enslaving us, and fighting wars amongst themselves for the most supporters, the most followers. Why do you think people are so big about Xbox versus PlayStation? These are modern day armies of enslavement. You're literally sponsoring your oppressors every time that you pick a brand that you pick over another brand. And these brands are fighting warfare with each other to acquire your resources, your time, your employment, everything.
And obviously the best solution would be for rich people to invest more money into companies that benefit the nature more.
There shouldn't be rich people, like, why do they have money?
Plants, benefit all that stuff,
If
just
there's
more.
rich
you know?
people, that
And
just
then
means
people
Rich
trying
people
to
are
save
literally-
up and get to the point where
Rich
they
people
can
are
buy
literally the
you
people that hoard the
things that really do
resources.
benefit
Yeah.
people.
When you talk about rich people should do this or that, they're the whole reason we have these
Yeah,
problems.
exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like they need to change their format. They need to start giving.
They don't
money
need to do
people.
anything. They don't give a fuck about us. We need to make them wake up to the fact
Yes,
that
exactly.
we realize their
exactly.
shit.
I'm not
We
saying
need to
that they're
strip
gonna
them
do
of
it
all
on
their
their
fucking
own,
riches
but, you know, they
and spread
should
them
do it.
ourselves.
They should definitely do it.
the only
They're not
reason they
going to,
have
though.
power
Otherwise,
and they're
yeah.
rich is
I mean, they're
because
gonna
we
do what
give
they've
them
been
all
doing.
the fucking power.
Yeah, like literally, like
we're
they've
lazy.
taken the power. It's like with the king. How did the king get power? He said, God gave me this power, and everybody just said, okay. You're telling that the king should give up his crown. Of course he should. Of course the rich people should invest into businesses that help us. But the fact that they're rich is the fact that they don't give a fuck about us, which is the fact that that will never happen. We have to be the change we want to see, because we're voting rich people to be the change we want to see. And every time we vote, it goes into a machine rigged with an enigma that literally renders your vote useless because it's a simulation of a vote. That means that your vote that you give for Barack Obama, that you give for Tim McCain, doesn't matter because the machine's going to put out what they want it to. And it's going to simulate it to the most realistic fucking degree, to the point where you think, oh wow, yeah, 63% voted for Trump, 20% voted for Hillary, and 17% was undecided. Okay, you don't even count to see if the fucking percentages add up. I don't know if those do. Who gives a shit? Sounded realistic enough. That's their logic with that machine. Nobody asked for a recount of the votes because the Electoral College makes that redundant. There's no point to counting the votes because your votes don't get counted directly, where it's like 300 million versus that. Yeah, your vote goes into the popular vote, which goes into the alleged vote. Yeah, I mean, it's so many scales. It's like when people talk about, oh, Trump's going to get impeached. There's literally 5 levels of vote to see whether or not he gets impeached, and if at any level it's repealed, nothing happens. It just goes back to nothing.
Yeah.
And then there's double jeopardy laws. Like with the double jeopardy law, if you charge me for murder and I got away with it, you can't charge me later on because I got away with it. Like I could commit another murder and you could bust me, but you can never bust me for the one that you let me get away with because double jeopardy. That's why the system is rigged. Like on the same level, you can appeal a case as many times as you want until it gets to the Supreme Court. And then from that point forth, that's the final ruling. They say you're innocent and you're innocent, there's nothing they can do about it, even if you really did it. If they say you're guilty and it gets to Supreme Court, well then, hey, tough luck, buddy. You're fucked.
Yeah.
And there's nothing anyone can do about it. And who the fuck has that supreme power? What kind of man has the power to tell another man the life that he lived?
I don't even pay attention to the politics anymore because it's just a huge puppet scheme. But so I don't even know why they're trying to impeach Trump. For, like, what crime did he commit?
Same here. Like, I mean, it's all literally just divisive media. Like, when you look into the impeachment, you're being distracted from the pedophile rings. When you look into Hannah Montana at the VMA Awards, you're being distracted from the Syria bombings.
You're being distracted from all the shit that's happening. I mean, how do you think the lobbyists are really?
I mean, you know what the difference is between the news and the Walking
Dead? On
Dead?
through, and nobody's saying shit about it. Nobody gives a flying fuck, really.
Well, it's like the only difference between the news, the Walking Dead, and Desperate Housewives is the fact that the news is supposed to be real, and that's where we get our facts from. Walking Dead and Desperate Housewives are just TV shows designed to keep you interested and entertained. That's all the news is. The only difference is they say it's facts. They say, this is the world we live in today. This is what matters most. Really, no, it's just another distraction from what actually is going on. And then you're so busy trying to figure out whether it's okay for your uncle to pee in the women's room that you're not really thinking about the war where kids are being sent to die because other kids have the opium plants that you want to import into your country. You're not looking at the rising heroin addiction rates and all this shit because you're too busy focused on what the news is saying is important, which is whether or not your uncle can pee in the women's bathroom.
And once again, this is intentional. This is the purpose of the media.
Yeah, it's brainwashing propaganda and programming through neurolinguistic transmissions, the news, the radio, the media, all this shit. It's just literally neurolinguistic programming. They release...
Oh, and the fucking radio programming too. Talk about that shit. Fuck.
Yeah, I mean,
forgot about it.
It's literally neurolinguistic programming. You look at the radio, they play these frequency beats. Ironically enough, those are the same frequencies that when the Nazis were studying the impact of frequencies on the human brain, the frequency they released on the radio, I don't remember the exact number, and you can Google it, but it's the same frequency that Nazis discovered inspires fear and intimidation into humans. So when you listen to the radio, it is literally inseminating you with fear and intimidation, and then whatever message that they put into it with the subliminal messaging. So it's like, yo, gang shit, sell a bunch of drugs, kill your brother. Like, yeah, okay, so we're blaring these beats with the neurolinguistic frequencies they release them at. And then you're watching fucking Walking Dead, where it's literally like zombie apocalypse the first 1 to 3 seasons. From that point forth, literally just interpersonal problems about, hey, I think Curtis has been talking shit about you. And then you say to me, yeah, we need to stop him. So then you go to you.
Yeah.
He tells you that I'm plotting against Curtis, and then you guys should use our fight to profit off of me getting beat up by Curtis. So then you guys tell Curtis about my shit behind my back. And that's literally a whole season. Then season after that is where you guys jump me. And everybody's so enthralled because all we want to do is talk about bullshit and fucking create petty arguments to inseminate fucking division within ourselves, just like the TV does through the shows. Because people literally build off of arguments and
that's
fucking
how they get
division.
you. That's how they keep you divided. That's how they keep you in your households. That's how they keep you scared of your neighbors. That's how they keep you scared of the people across the street, your co-workers, all that shit. That's how they keep you.
Yeah, and then
that's
on
how
top
they
of
keep
that,
you chained. That's
and
how
then
they
they
keep
get
you
the
in your
news.
cubicle, away from everyone else. No knowledge will be found by you, except something that you can find on the internet, which is just going to be all that bullshit that they want you to hear because the media controls the internet.
And as if that's not bad enough, then
you
got the
you
news.
can go deeper if you really want to, but
Yeah.
the media does control a large sum of the internet, and a lot of people just don't want to go deeper.
Well, I mean, there's meme warfare. Like,
And I mean, they shouldn't really have to. They shouldn't have to.
I mean, you could look into meme warfare. They've literally weaponized memes to the point where they'll make memes, they'll release them, and then people will share them. And these memes literally serve as no more than another distraction. Like, you see all these sad, depressed memes on Facebook. Everybody's posting them and sharing them about day 78 without sex. I can hear colors. And then, like, fucking, wish I could get a boyfriend. Niggas ain't shit. And all this bullshit. You see all these memes, all these complaints about what life could be. Do you not think that's, like, somehow weaponized, engineered memes sent by the government to keep you thinking, like, oh, this is normal. Everybody's depressed. Nobody can get relationships. Nobody's having sex. Everybody's depressed. Everybody's job sucks. So I should get over it. I'm just going to post these memes and laugh, react to the ones I see from my friends. Really not asking where are these memes coming from. It's just programming.
I never thought about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's the same thing as with commercials. You see the commercials popping up on your timeline as you scroll, and yet these are also commercials of how you should feel, how you should think, what you should do.
I wonder how accurate that is, if it's like from, people trying to make us feel like everybody feels this way, or if everyone's posting them because they actually feel this way.
Well, I mean, at the same time, look at it though, like, the media, the memes follow trends, right? Somebody sets the trend. So if you get like 20 FBI accounts of real humans like those sex cam girls, and they're posting these memes, people are sharing that. There's meme web pages like Depressed Memes 2.0, drug memes, all these meme pages. Do you not think some of them might be run by the government that inspire the meme trend where you think, hey, it's cool to post sad, depressed memes because this page gets a lot of likes and everybody's sharing it. I should make my own. And then you make your own. They literally inspired you to fulfill their trend. All they got to do is make a meme page and release 3 sad memes. Now it's a trend. Not everybody's releasing this. They've already done their part. They move on to another trend.
If the government is actually making their own memes like that, or if they're just the ones responsible for all the depression because everything sucks.
You can look
and
into
people
meme
can't
warfare.
see.
I've read articles.
Really?
There's articles online about how the CIA did investigations into weaponizing memes.
So not only are they, causing us to be enslaved and work our shitty jobs and everything, and we don't.
They're making it look cool.
and we don't see a way out of it, and we're like overpopulated but still lonely and depressed. And then you think on top of that, because they caused it, then they're reinforcing it with memes.
Yeah. And we're just bigging it up because it's the cool thing to do. Literally, group herd mentality. You can lead a sheep off a cliff, and as long as it's walking off the cliff, every other sheep will follow it and jump to its death. As long as you make a meme that is cool, everybody will run towards it. And it's like, yeah, I'm depressed. I like big titty sad goth girls. I don't have sex ever. And then everybody's jumping on board because it's awesome now. Because somebody made it sound cool.
Yeah. And that's the shit right there, man.
Like, if it's got 100 likes, how could it be wrong? Like, that guy got 100 laugh reacts. That must be cool. I'm depressed like that. I should post memes about how miserable I am. And then they wonder why they can't get girlfriends, why they're still depressed.
If you keep enforcing to yourself and everyone else that you're depressed and sad, then you're going to be depressed.
I mean, when I see girls post, like,
why you're saying it over and over again.
Like, yeah, like, I see girls posting how it's like, I wish I could find a dude that's not just going to use me for sex. I'm worth so much more than booty. I'm always so depressed. I'm always getting used. And they post this really sad-ass article about their life.
And it just makes them
why am I going to add you?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, like, why would I want to fuck you when literally I'm going to have to deal with every single sad story you've ever had? And then now that I'm not going to fuck you and every other dude like me is not going to fuck you, you're just going to post even more sad shit about how niggas ain't shit. My baby daddy came in me and then he left me and he's never paid child support. Like, I can't get a real man because any man I get with uses me just for sex. And it's like, huh, do I want to eat the nasty half-eaten moldy sandwich that blatantly talks about the mold on it? Or do I want to go and get a nice sandwich that looks appetizing and advertises itself as really delicious?
Yeah.
Like, why would you go for the shitty sandwich? Why would you go for the shitty depressed girl? Why would you go for the shitty depressed nerdy dude? It's like, nobody likes me because I'm a nerd. There are so many people that like Dungeons and Dragons, but they definitely don't want you to wet their fucking blanket, to be all sad about this shit, to ruin their awesome game between awesome friends, where it's like, yeah, you're shitting on nerds. Like, you're saying that because you play World of Warcraft, you're a fucking loser and nobody wants to be your friend. I play World of Warcraft. I got lots of friends that do. And we would be your friend, but
And
you're
I mean, if
shitting on the thing we love.
Yeah, if you're shitting on yourself, then you're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah, no.
I mean, if you embrace who you are, like my little brother, for example, he's a straight nerd. You know, he plays video games all day. He does all that type of shit. But at the same exact time, he knows who he is relative to everyone else. He knows his friends. He knows them very well, but he knows himself most importantly, and that allows him to go into school, kick ass. You know, just. Like, people like him, he's popular, and he's probably more popular than I was in, you know, high school.
I wasn't popular
I
with
was,
shit
yeah,
in high
and
school.
I wasn't, I wasn't a nerd at all. I mean,
Oh,
I was a nerd,
fuck.
but I didn't wear it on my wrist. He wears it on his wrist, and he gets a lot more results than
I'll
just
buy
by
you
doing
more
that,
in
you know,
London.
He just embraces who
You're
he
good?
is.
Well, I mean, if you
And
want
people
to
accept
London, we're
it.
never
Yeah,
going to
people
run
love
out.
that. So.
Yeah, I'll buy more in London though,
nice.
because I've been smoking on your shit.
Oh, no, I mean, the London is all that's any good. Yeah, real tobacco is adulterated with chemicals and uranium-rich fertilizer. Peter Stokeby, or really any European tobacco, is regulated way healthier, to the point where you can tell when you smoke one of these rolled natural cigarettes, you don't feel sick afterwards because there's no uranium-rich fertilizer causing you carcinogens from radiation.
And they don't even really smell bad.
Yeah, it's an earthy, natural scent. The shit you smell from your cigarettes is literally all the sweetened chemicals that they put into it to make it more addictive, weaker strength, and also just shittier quality, just to make it last longer. Artificial preservatives. Do you ever wonder what that means? It's an artificial thing made by man to make it last longer than it's naturally supposed to. Yeah.
Truth be told, should we wrap it up for this one? Alright, well, yeah, fucking.
Yeah, radon is not really something you want to be smoking out of your cigarettes.
Yeah.
Chill with the Antichrists, motherfucker. Out.
Word.